Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I'm Josh Davis. Today is Saturday, April 9th, 2022, and we are here to talk about today's Major League Baseball slate. We're going to go over the early slate and also the main slate on today's podcast. We've got 5 games for each slate, so we got a lot to get into. If you're new to the channel, if you would give us a like and hit the subscribe button. That helps us to move up the algorithm. Also, you can leave a comment in the comment section, and we would be glad to have you as a new subscriber. If you're new to DFS Coach Talk, you can join us at dfscoachtalk.com. We have memberships that start as low as a 3-day membership for $10. This weekend would be a great time for you to join. You'll get the Masters today. Our Prize Picks plays as far as Masters today and tomorrow. Our NBA content. We do a Draftkings clipboard and full Fanduel and Yahoo lineups. And then, of course, all of our MLB content. We give the same coaches clipboard, the Fanduel lineups, and the Yahoo lineup. So great time to join Coach Talk. We've had a lot of success, especially with the baseball season, and just look forward to keeping up, continuing that success. I want to talk a little bit first about the fade that I mentioned yesterday on the podcast, which was Jose Berrios. He had a horrible start. He allowed four runs and didn't even get out of the first inning. And it was that Ranger stack of players that we mentioned, Brad Miller, Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, Mitch Garver, the guys that are new to the Rangers that I thought could give him some trouble. They ended up giving him trouble. And also our top stack, which was the Toronto Blue Jays, they scored 10 runs yesterday. And we're the only, we're the top stack on the slate, only, second to the Houston Astros. So really good day yesterday for Major League Baseball, and just look forward to, crushing it again today. Our presenting sponsor is Prize Picks. You can join Prize Picks if you haven't yet at prizepicks.com. Make sure you use the promo code Coach Talk. They're going to 100% match your first deposit up to $100. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get into today's early MLB slate. The first game we have is at 1:10 p.m. Eastern. It is the Baltimore Orioles at the Tampa Bay Rays. The line is the Tampa Bay Rays are favored by at minus 240. There's no weather in this situation because it's in a dome. And then the implied run total is 8.5 for this game. We've got Jordan Lyles pitching for the Baltimore Orioles and Drew Rasmussen pitching for the Tampa Bay Rays. The projected lineup for Baltimore is Cedric Mullins at center field, Ryan Mountcastle at first base, Anthony Santander at right field, Trey Mancini is the DH, designated hitter, Austin Hayes is in left field, Rougned Odor is at second base, Ramon Urias is at third base, Jorge Mateo is at shortstop, and Robinson Chirinos is at catcher. We do have a confirmed lineup for Tampa Bay. Brandon Lau at second base, Wander Franco at shortstop, Ji-Man Choi at first base, Randy Arozarena at DH, Josh Lowe at left field, Francisco Mejia at catcher, Kevin Kiermaier at center field, Taylor Walls at third base, and Brett Phillips at right field. My top plays for Baltimore is going to be Cedric Mullins. One of my top plays is going to be Cedric Mullins. He's 3,400 on FanDuel, 5,600 on DraftKings. He had 21 of his 30 home runs against right-handed pitchers last year. He hit 299 against righties. A lot better deal on FanDuel than on DK at 5,600. So 3,400 on FanDuel, I like that price. The other play I like for Baltimore is Ryan Mountcastle. He's 3,300 on FanDuel, 4,100 on DK. He hit 20 of his 33 home runs against right-handed pitchers last year. And then on the Tampa Bay side, I like Brandon Lau. He's 3,700 on FanDuel. He's 5,400 on DK. Hit 29 of his 39 home runs against right-handed pitchers last year, hitting an average of 270 versus right-handed pitchers. And then for some value, I do like Ji-Man Choi a little bit here. He's 2,400 on FanDuel, 4,300 on DK, so better value once again on FanDuel. Hit 245 versus right-handed pitchers. He only hit 11 home runs, but all of those came against right-handed pitchers last year. So I do like Ji-Man Choi as a bit of a value play. For the second game, we have at 1:10 p.m. Eastern, the Chicago White Sox at the Detroit Tigers. The line is the White Sox minus 150. Again, we have an implied run total of 8.5. The weather is going to be a little bit of a factor here. It's 38 degrees. The wind's blowing out at 10 miles an hour. With that temperature, it is going to, I think, help keep the ball in the park a little bit. The wind is going to, kind of counteract it, and it's kind of offset each other, really. So the weather here, it could be similar to what we saw in the Cubs game, where it's a little bit hard for the ball to carry throughout the game, but there still could be some home run potential here. In the projected pitchers, we've got Dylan Cease versus Casey Mize. The confirmed lineup, we do have a confirmed lineup for the White Sox. It's A.J. Pollock at right field, Luis Robert at center field, Jose Abreu at first base, Yasmani Grandal at catcher, Eloy Jimenez at left field, Gavin Sheets is the DH, Lurie Garcia at shortstop, Josh Harrison is at second base, and Jake Berger is at third base. We also have a confirmed lineup for Detroit. Robbie Grossman at right field, Austin Meadows at left field, Javier Baez at shortstop, Heimer Candelario at third base, Miguel Cabrera at DH, Jonathan Scope at second base, Eric Haas at catcher, Spencer Torkelson is at first base, and Akil Baddoo is at center field. I do like Dylan Cease here. He's 9,800 on FanDuel, 9,000 on DK. He had 4 starts against the Tigers last year. In those 4 starts, he pitched 7 innings with 0 earned runs and 9 strikeouts. Then he had another start with 7 innings with 0 earned runs and 10 strikeouts. And then he had his other starts of 5 innings with 2 earned runs and 7 strikeouts, and 4 innings with 1 earned run and 5 strikeouts. So a good pivot here from Brandon Woodruff. I think he's playable in all formats. For the Chicago Bats, I like Yasmani Grandal, 3,400 on FanDuel, 4,800 on DK. He's hit 400 with 2 hits and 5 at bats, so a small sample size. But he has hit a home run against Casey Mize before. I also like Gavin Sheets as a value play at 2,100 on FanDuel, 3,500 on DK. He hit all 11 of his home runs against right-handed pitchers last year as a rookie. So I do like Sheets here. I think he'll go low owned. For Detroit, you have Austin Meadows, who was traded from Tampa Bay to Detroit this offseason. He's 3,000 on FanDuel, 5,100 on DK. He hit 24 of his 27 home runs against the right-handed pitchers last year with a 251 batting average against righties. The third game we have is at 2:10 p.m. Eastern. It's the Seattle Mariners at the Minnesota Twins. The line shows Minnesota as a minus 140 favorite. Once again, we have an implied run total of 8.5. It's 44 degrees with the wind blowing out at 4 miles an hour. So light wind. It's a little cool. So, expect a little bit lower scoring game. The projected lineup for Seattle is Adam Frazier at second base, Jesse Winker at designated hitter, Mitch Haniger in right field, Ty France at first base, Jared Kelenic at left field, Julio Rodriguez at center field, Eugenio Suarez at third base, Tom Murphy at catcher, and J.P. Crawford at shortstop. The projected lineup for the Twins is Byron Buxton in center field, Jorge Polanco at second base, Carlos Correa at shortstop, Luis Arias at third base, Max Kepler in right field, Miguel Sano at first base, Alex Kirilloff at left field, Gary Sanchez at catcher, and Gio Urshela is the designated hitter. My top plays for Seattle, I like Jesse Winker at 3,300 on FanDuel, 5,400 on DK. He hit 346 against right-handed pitchers last year with 21 of his 24 home runs coming against righties. And also like Eugenio Suarez, we have another former Red here, 3,000 on FanDuel, 3,900 on DK. He hit 25 of his 31 home runs against right-handed pitchers last season. On the Minnesota side, I like Byron Buxton. I used him a lot during spring training. He's 3,700 on FanDuel, 5,900 on DK. He hit a career-high 19 home runs despite only playing 61 games. He also hit 297 versus right-handed pitchers with 14 of his 19 home runs coming against righties. The next game we have is at 2:15 p.m. Eastern. It's the Pittsburgh Pirates at the St. Louis Cardinals. Mitch Keller versus Miles Michaelis. The line is St. Louis minus 170. The implied run total is once again 8.5. The weather is 49 degrees with the wind blowing left to right at 12 miles an hour. For the Pirates, their projected lineup, we have Daniel Vogelbach leading off at the DH, Brian Reynolds at center field, Ke'Bryan Hayes at third base, Yoshi Satsugu at first base, Kevin Newman is at shortstop, Cole Tucker at right field, Ben Gamble in left field, Roberto Perez at catcher, and Hoy Park at second base. We have a confirmed lineup for the Cardinals. We have Dylan Carlson in right field, Paul Goldschmidt at first base, Tyler O'Neill in left field, Nolan Arenado at third base, Corey Dickerson is the DH, Paul DeYoung at shortstop, Yadier Molina at catcher, Harrison Bader in center field, and Tommy Edman at second base. My top play for Pittsburgh is actually going to be Daniel Vogelbach. He's 2,500 on FanDuel, 2,200 on DK. He has 2 hits and 3 at-bats against Michaelis, with one of those being a home run. He hit 239 against right-handed pitchers last year, with 8 of his 9 home runs that were against right-handed pitchers. And I think that he could be a nice low-owned GPP play to keep an eye on in this early slate. For the Cardinals, I like Miles Michaelis, their pitcher, at 8,200 on FanDuel, 7,300 on DK. A good GPP option. Like I said, Daniel Vogelbach, he's the only Pirate that's ever hit a home run against Michaelis. They have one of the worst offensive rosters in the MLB, and they were shut out on opening day by the Cardinals in a 9-0 loss. So definitely like Michaelis here. I like Tommy Edman. He's 3,400 on FanDuel, 5,500 on DK. He's hitting .444 against Keller with 4 hits and 9 at-bats. He's projected to bat 9th. Actually, he is batting 9th. We know that now. So his ownership should be a little bit lower. I would expect that. I do like the 4-man wraparound stack, though, with Edman, Carlson, Goldschmidt, and O'Neill. Next, we have at 2:20 p.m. Eastern, the Milwaukee Brewers at the Chicago Cubs. The line is Milwaukee minus 150. The temperature shows 39 degrees with winds at 9 miles an hour left to right. We have for Milwaukee, Brandon Woodruff versus Justin Steele for the Cubs. The projected lineup for the Brewers is Colton Wong at second base, Willie Adames at shortstop, Christian Yelich at left field, Andrew McCutchen at DH, Rowdy Tellez first base, Hunter Renfroe at right field, Omar Narvaez at catcher, Renzo Cain in center field, and Jace Peterson at third base. For Chicago, we have Rafael Ortega at DH, Nick Madrigal at second base, Wilson Contreras at catcher, Ian Happ in left field, Frank Schwindel at first base, Seiya Suzuki in right field, Jason Hayward at center field, Patrick Wisdom at third base, and Nico Horner at shortstop. For Milwaukee, I like Brandon Woodruff, 10,500 on FanDuel, 9,700 on DraftKings. In his 3 starts against the Cubs at Wrigley Field last year, he pitched 7 innings with 0 earned runs and 8 strikeouts, 6 innings with 0 earned runs and 8 strikeouts. And then in his last start, he had a short start. He pitched 3 innings with 0 earned runs and 3 strikeouts. So in all, he pitched 16 innings at Wrigley with no earned runs and 19 strikeouts. So obviously very impressive numbers for Woodruff at Wrigley last year, and I expect for him to have similar success this year against the Cubs. I like on the bat side, I like Willie Adames at 3,000 on FanDuel, 5,000 on DK. He's one of the 4 Brewers that have faced Justin Steele before, and he's the only one that has a hit against him. He actually hit a home run against him last August. And Christian Yelich, I like. He's 3,300 on FanDuel, 5,200 on DK. Just kind of have a gut feeling that he's going to have a good day today. And sometimes that's all it really takes. Sometimes you have a play that you like, and you, for whatever reason, you don't play him, and then you end up kicking yourself because he has a really good day. So I just want to encourage everyone watching this that when you play DFS, just trust your gut. It's really a lot of times it can be the difference between you having a really great day and just kind of an average day. For Chicago, I like Ian Happ. He's 2,700 on FanDuel, 3,500 on DraftKings. He's the only Cub on their roster right now that has a hit against or a home run, against Woodruff. He hit a 2-run double that ended up being the difference in the game on the season opener on Thursday. So I do like Ian Happ here for the Cubs. My top prize picks play for the early slate is going to be Brandon Woodruff over 5.5 strikeouts. I mentioned how he was able to have so much success against the Cubs last year, and I think that he'll have similar success once again this year and obviously today. My home run call for the early slate is going to be Brandon Lau. As I mentioned, he hit 29 of his 39 home runs against right-handed pitchers last year, and he's going to be my home run call. Now we'll move to the main slate. The first game on the main slate is at 7:05 Eastern between the New York Mets and the Washington Nationals. The line is the Mets minus 145 with an implied run total of 10. So one of the higher implied run totals on the slate. So you definitely want to keep an eye on this game. The weather's 52 degrees with 7-mile-an-hour winds. We have Chris Bassett going up against the intriguing prospect Johan Adon for the Washington Nationals. The projected lineup for the Mets is Brandon Nimmo at center field, Starling Marte at right field, Francisco Lindor at shortstop, Pete Alonso at first base, Robinson Cano as the DH, Eduardo Escobar at third base, Mark Canha at left field, Jeff McNeil at second base, and James McCann at catcher. And then for the Washington Nationals, their projected lineup, we have Cesar Hernandez at second base, Juan Soto at right field, Nelson Cruz as a DH, Josh Bell is at first base, Keibert Ruiz at catcher, Lane Thomas in left field, Maikel Franco at third base, Alcides Escobar at shortstop, and Victor Robles at center field. The top play for me for the Mets, I like Pete Alonso, 3,800 on FanDuel, 5,000 on DraftKings. And then I also like Francisco Lindor, 3,900 on FanDuel, 4,400 on DK. He did leave the game Friday night with a jaw injury, so we'll have to see if he's going to be in the lineup. And then on the value side for the Mets, I like Robinson Cano. He's had a pretty solid start to the year. He's 2,200 on FanDuel, 2,400 on DK. For Washington, as I mentioned, I like Johan Adon. He's an intriguing young prospect. He started the last game of the year last year against Boston. He pitched 5 innings. He had 9 strikeouts and only allowed 2 earned runs. I watched some highlights of him last night. He's got a nasty changeup and a solid 96-mile-an-hour fastball. So I think he's definitely going to be somebody that we want to keep our eyes on this year as a young, pitcher to keep an eye on. I like Nelson Cruz. He's 3,300 on FanDuel, 4,700 on DK. He has 4 hits in 11 at-bats against Bassett with a 364 average. He's hit 3 doubles and a single. And I also like Josh Bell at 2,800 on FanDuel, 4,500 on DK. He has hit 2 home runs in only 3 at-bats against Bassett. So really like Bell here, especially on FanDuel at only 2,800. The next game is going to be at 7:20 Eastern. It's the Cincinnati Reds at the Atlanta Braves. Vladimir Gutierrez against Kyle Wright. Atlanta's a 165 favorite. Implied run total here of 10 once again. 52-degree temperatures with a 12-mile-an-hour winds. So that could affect the game just a little bit in favor of the bats that pull to the right. So you definitely want to look at those lefties. I like for the projected lineups for Cincinnati, we've got Jonathan India at second base, Tyler Naquin at right field, Tommy Pham at left field, Joey Votto at first base, Tyler Stevenson at catcher, Mike Moustakas at third base, Nick Senzel at center field, Colin Moran is the DH, and Kyle Farmer is at shortstop. For Atlanta, we have Eddie Rosario at right field, Matt Olson at first base, Austin Riley at third base, Marcell Ozuna in left field, Ozzie Albies at second base, Adam Duvall at center field, Travis d'Arnaud at catcher, Alex Dickerson is the DH. He's come over from the Giants. And then Dansby Swanson is at shortstop. The top plays I like for Cincinnati, Joey Votto, 3,300 on FanDuel, 5,100 on DK. He hit 289 against right-handed pitchers last year with 31 of his 36 home runs coming against the right-handed pitcher. And then Tyler Naquin, I think it's a good value play at 2,500 on FanDuel, 4,000 on DK. He went hitless last night. It's a good spot for him to bounce back. I think he hit 283 against right-handed pitchers last year with 18 of his 19 home runs against righties. For Atlanta, I like Dansby Swanson, 3,100 on FanDuel, 4,100 on DK. He hit 800 in 5 at-bats, so he has 4 hits and 5 at-bats against Gutierrez with 3 singles and a home run. I also like Adam Duvall, similar to the Yelich play earlier, kind of a gut call, 2,900 on FanDuel, 4,400 on DK. The next game we have is 8:10 p.m. Eastern. It's the LA Dodgers at the Colorado Rockies. Tony Gonsolin versus German Marquez. The line has the Dodgers at minus 155. This game, as you might expect, at Coors has a high implied run total of 11.5, the highest of the day. 75-degree temperatures, so pretty warm with 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing left to right. We have a projected lineup of the Dodgers for the Dodgers of Mookie Betts, right field, Freddie Freeman at first base, Trey Turner at shortstop, Max Muncy at DH, Justin Turner at third base, Will Smith at catcher, Cody Bellinger in center field, Chris Taylor at left field, and Gavin Lux at second base. For the Rockies, we have Charlie Blackmon at right field, Chris Bryant at left field, Brendan Rodgers at second base, CJ Cron at first base, Ryan McMahon at third base, Connor Joe as the DH, Elias Diaz at catcher, and Jose Iglesias at shortstop. For the Dodgers, I like Mookie Betts. He's 4,400 on FanDuel, 5,100 on DK. He's hit 455 against Marquez with 5 hits and 11 at-bats. Trey Turner, I also like 4,500 on FanDuel, 5,500 on DraftKings. He's hit 600 against Marquez with 3 hits and 5 at-bats. And then I also like Chris Taylor. He's 3,500 on FanDuel, 4,500 on DK. He's 3 hits in 8 at-bats against Marquez, hitting 375. For the Rockies, I like Charlie Blackmon at 3,300 on FanDuel, 4,100 on DK. He's hit 3 hits and 6 at-bats versus Gonsolin, 2 doubles and a home run. And then we have Chris Bryant. He's 4,000 on FanDuel, 4,900 on DK. He also has hit a home run and 2 at-bats against Gonsolin. The next game is going to be at 8:10 p.m. Eastern. It's the San Diego Padres at the Arizona Diamondbacks. We have Joe Musgrove going up against Zach Davies. Excuse me for just a second. The line is San Diego at minus 155 with an implied run total of 9.5. This game is going to be in a dome, so there's not weather being an issue. The projected lineup is San Diego, Trent Grisham at center field, Jake Cronenworth at second base, Manny Machado at third base, Eric Hosmer at first base, Luke Voigt as the DH, Will Myers in right field, Jurickson Profar at left field, Austin Nola at catcher, and Ha-Seong Kim at shortstop. For Arizona, we have Dalton Varsho in center field, Ketel Marte at second base, David Peralta in left field, Christian Walker at first base, Pavin Smith in right field. Carson Kelly is the catcher, Seth Beer at DH, Drew Ellis at third base, and Geraldo Perdomo at shortstop. I like Joe Musgrove here for San Diego. He's 10,000 on FanDuel, 9,400 on DK. There's not a lot of great options on the slate for pitching. He has one of the better matchups against this Arizona offense that ranked 25th in runs scored last year, and they were shut out 3-0 last night. So I do like Musgrove as one of the pitching options on this slate. Like I said, there's not a lot that I like here for pitchers, but I do like Musgrove. Eric Hosmer, he's 2,400 on FanDuel. To me, that's just way too cheap. He's 3,500 on DK. He has 3 hits and 5 at-bats against Zach Davies, a single, a double, and a home run. A lot of low-owned home run potential here for Hosmer, in my opinion. I also like Ha-Seong Kim. He's 2,400 on both sites. He's someone that I followed while he was in the KBO. He has legit home run power against a righty like Zach Davies, so I think that he could potentially be another low-owned home run play. For Arizona, I like David Peralta, 2,400 on FanDuel, 3,300 on DK. He has hit 5 hits in 17 at-bats against Musgrove. Then we have the last game of the night. It's at 9:07 p.m. Eastern. It's the Houston Astros at the Los Angeles Angels. Justin Verlander against Noah Syndergaard. So we have 2 pitchers that we haven't seen in a long time, both making their return here. The line is Houston minus 120 with an implied run total of 8.5. The temperatures are going to be 71 degrees with the wind 10 miles an hour blowing out. So definitely expect a high-scoring game here. To me, the 8.5 line could be a little low. The projected lineup for Houston is Jose Altuve at second base, Kyle Tucker in right field, Alex Bregman at third base, Yordan Alvarez at the DH, Letimus Diaz at first base, Michael Brantley at left field, Chas McCormick at center field, Jeremy Pena at shortstop, and Martin Maldonado is the catcher. And for those who didn't see it last night, there was a really cool moment with Jeremy Pena. He hit his first career home run while Heidi Watney, the sideline reporter, was interviewing his parents, and their reaction was just awesome. So for those who didn't see that, that was just a really cool moment. And, it just kind of makes you remember just how baseball can affect, so many people, and in those moments, how key those are. So just wanted to take a moment to talk about that. Jeremy actually hit 6 total bases last night, going 3 for 5, and he was a triple shy of hitting for the cycle. So awesome moment, awesome game from Jeremy Pena last night, and it was really cool to see his parents reacting the way they did. Back to the lineups for the Angels. Their projected lineup is Shohei Ohtani at the DH, Mike Trout at center field, Jared Walsh at first base, Anthony Rendon at third base, Joe Adell in right field, Brandon Marsh at left field, Max Stassi at catcher, David Fletcher at shortstop, and then Tyler Wade at second base. So as I mentioned, we have 2 pitchers that we haven't seen in a long time. Justin Verlander is 10,400 on FanDuel, 9,600 on DraftKings. This will actually be his first start since July of 2020. In spring training, he looked pretty good. He had 11 strikeouts with a 167 average over 8.2 scoreless innings. So, really good numbers for him in spring training, but that was spring training. We'll have to look and see how he holds up against, major league hitters. So not all in on Verlander, but definitely probably going to be the top play in cash tonight. The Astros, as far as their bats, you can pretty much pick any of them. They're red hot. Syndergaard's been a really good pitcher in the past, but, he hasn't pitched. He's only pitched 2 innings since 2019, so he could be rusty as well. Just going to have to see how he looks. But like I said, the 79-degree temperatures, wind blowing out at 10 miles an hour. Astro stack is definitely in play here for me. Top stack of the night for sure. And then for the Angels, Shohei Ohtani has actually hit 2 home runs before against Justin Verlander. 4,300 on FanDuel, 59 on DraftKings. So I do like him a little bit here. And my top prize picks play for the main slate is going to be Charlie Blackmon over 1.5 total bases. As I mentioned earlier, he's hit 3 hits and 6 at-bats with 2 doubles and a home run. So at 1.5 total bases, I definitely like the over there. My home run call is going to be Shohei Ohtani. And that is it, guys. I think we have a really nice 2 slates here, the early slate and the main slate. And I'm definitely, looking forward to hopefully helping provide some winning lineups for you guys. And as I mentioned before, if you haven't joined us yet, you can join us at dfscoachtalk.com. We have memberships starting as low as $10 for 3 days. And also on Prize Picks, like I said, that's our presenting sponsors, Prize Picks. So you can join them at prizepicks.com. They will 100% your first deposit up to $100. They'll match it at 100%. And you use promo code CoachTalk, all one word, when you join Prize Picks. So that's it, guys. I hope this helped you. I hope you guys have some great winning lineups tonight. And we'll be back tomorrow when we look to crush it in DFS.